Jai. श्रीमद् सद्गुरु सरकार की, श्रीमद् युगल सरकार की। चेतो दर्पणमार्जनम् भवमहा दावाग्निर्वापणम् श्रेयः कैरवचन्द्रिका वितरणम् विद्यावधूजीवनम् आनन्दाम्बुधिवर्धनम् प्रतिपदम् पूर्णामृतास्वादनम् सर्वात्मस्नपनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्ण संकीर्तनम्। ध्यानमूलम् गुरोर्मूर्तिः पूजामूलम् गुरोर्पदम् मन्त्रमूलं गुरोर्वाक्यम् भक्तिमूलं गुरोर्कृपा। यो ब्रह्माणं विदधाति पूर्वं यो वै वेदांश्च प्रहिणोति तस्मै तग्वंहदेवमात्मबुद्धिप्रकाशं मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये। Respected devotees of Sri Maharaj Ji and viewers, Radhe Radhe to you all. भटकत थकी गए पाम नाथ अब भटकत थकी गए पाम नाथ भटकत थकी गए पाम नाथ अब 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 पुनी पुनी जनमी जनमी दुख पाए पुनी पुनी जनमी जनमी दुख पायो पुनी पुनी जनमी जनमी दुख पाए पुनी पुनी जनमी जनमी दुख पायो नहीं पायो विश्राम नाथ अब नहीं पायो विश्राम नाथ अब भटकत थकी गए पाम नाथ अब भटकत थकी गए जूते लात खात पति वनीतनी
जूते लात खात पति वनीतनी
नहीं अब हूँ उपराम नाथ अब
नहीं अब हूँ अपराम नाथ अब
नहीं अब हूँ उपराम नाथ अब
नहीं अब हूँ उपराम नाथ अब
भटकत थकी गए पाम नाथ अब
भटकत थकी गए पाम नाथ अब
पढ़त पढ़त सुनत जानत मानत
पढ़त सुनत जानत मानत
पढ़त सुनत जानत मानत
पढ़त सुनत जानत मानत
मन ठानत हठ पाम मन ठानत हठ बाम नाथ अब
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 भटकत भटकत थकी गए पाम नाथ अब
भटकत थकी गए पाम नाथ अब।
यद्यपि तव लीला गुण गावत
यद्यपि तव लीला गुण गावत
लेत तुम्हारोई नाम नाथ अब।
लेत तुम्हारोई नाम नाथ अब।
तदपि कृपालु कृपालु कृपा बिनु।
तदपि कृपालु कृपालु कृपा बिनु।
छूटे न इंद्रिन काम नाथ अब।
छूटे न इंद्रिय काम नाथ अब।
भटकत थकी गए भटकत थकी गए पाम नाथ अब।
भटकत थकी गए पाम नाथ अब।
भटकत भटकत थकी गए पाम नाथ अब।
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 तेरा नाम गुण गाया गोविंद राधे, किंतु मन अनुराग जाने न जगा दे। नाम गुण लीला गाया गोविंद राधे, किंतु मन पिघले ना तू ही पिघला दे। तेरा नाम गाते गाते गोविंद राधे, जीभ घिस गई प्रेम अब तो दिला दे। तू तो था सदा ते मेरा गोविंद राधे, कृपा द्वारा मोह कह प्रेम दिला दे। तेरी कृपा के बिना गोविंद राधे, कौन पाया है नाम बता दे। राधा गोविंद गीत। Shri Maharaj Ji translated the meaning of the last two lines of this divine pad in the Radha Govind Geet. O Shri Krishna, even though I chant your name, your leelas, your virtues and attributes, I chant. Yadyapi tava leela guna gavat let tumharoi naam. I chant your divine name, your virtues, your leelas, your attributes. But even so, O my merciful Shri Krishna, without your grace, I know that my detachment is not possible from this world. So your grace is my only hope. It's my only solace, O Shri Krishna. So it is evident from the meaning of these two lines that this devotee is aspiring for, desiring the grace of Shri Krishna. We know that grace is ever flowing, it is omnipresent, it is ever flowing. And this devotee is aspiring for the grace. So how can that bridge? How can one bridge that gap? How is it possible? Grace is ever flowing, omnipresent, it's showering incessantly. So how can we capture that grace? How can we conceive that grace? What is the foundation? On what basis? The power is there, just plug in. So what is that? It is sadhana, bhakti. Shri Maharaj Ji tells us in the Radha Govind Geet what sadhana is. Sochna hi sadhana hai Govind Radhe, बार बार सोचना ही उनसे मिला दे. Sochna, meaning to remember, to think, to meditate. And baar baar sochna, when we think again and again repeatedly, when we remember when our remembrance rather is unbroken or becomes unbroken, then we will find them. Hari Guru ही है मेरे गोविंद राधे, ए नित सोचना उपासना बता दे। Hari Guru, he hai mere. Hari and Guru alone are mine, and nobody else, no one else except Hari and Guru. A nita sochna, to ruminate on this reality, that is upasana. Shri Maharaji tells us upasana means to come close to them, so that thinking will bring us closer to them. And how would we practice that sadhana? Who will think of Hari Guru? Who should think of Hari Guru as ours? It is the mind. It is the mind that has to think that Hari Guru are mine. It is the mind that has to practice devotion. It is the mind that has to surrender. Everything depends on the mind. And Sri Maharaji also tells us that the one barrier that prevents us from accepting them as ours is our pride. Our vanity prevents us from accepting them as ours. And the greater the vanity, the greater the pride, the greater the trouble that devotee is in. In the direct words of Sri Maharaji, you all chant these nectar-filled, nectar-laden chantings. And while some of you make effort to penetrate into the depth of emotions while chanting these blissful kirtans, the rest merely mouth the words without feeling anything within. So Sri Maharaji says that what prevents us is our pride. And pride is the greatest. Shri Krishna says in the Gita, Samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshyo nastipriyaha. That I have no enemy, I have no friend, but he does have a friend. He does have an enemy rather. And the enemy is pride. But he also has a friend. And the friend is humility. Humility. We can enslave God with humility. Jalaluddin Rumi was a great Muslim saint who wrote a scripture known as Masnavi. And in that, he related a very moving story of a shepherd's conversation with God. And this story, it actually highlights the importance of humility, because without humility, an aspiring devotee is just that. What? Aspiring. Just aspiring. Without humility, that devotee will only remain aspiring without making any progress. So, in this story, once Moses was coming down a mountain, and as he was coming down, he saw a shepherd. Moses came into this world to teach the souls that our only aim in life is to attain God. So he saw a shepherd with his staff and blanket beside him, laid on the ground, and with his head bent, he was saying something. So whatever the shepherd was doing, it aroused the curiosity of Moses. So then he went up to him and he stood behind him to listen to what the shepherd was saying. And he was saying, "Oh, my Lord, I want to meet you. I wonder what you do for a living. Maybe you herd sheep, cows, and buffaloes. I can only imagine how tired you must get. Please let me massage your feet. You must have lice in your clothes. Let me pick them out for you from your clothes. If you are hungry, I can go to the jungle and bring you some honey. Your feet must be so tired. Please let me massage them. Why don't you take a break from your work? I will make a bed of flowers for you so you can have a break." So when Moses heard what the shepherd was saying, he was furious. He was angry. And he asked the shepherd, "Who are you talking to?" So the shepherd said, "I'm talking to God." And Moses said, "You fool, do you think that God could ever get lice in his clothes? You have insulted him by saying so, asking him that." So the shepherd, he became apologetic. And very humbly he said, "Sir, I have erred. Yes. I did not realize I was committing such a sin. Please tell me how I can atone for such a sin that I've committed." So Moses said, "There's no atonement for this sin that you have committed. You have insulted Allah." So hearing these words from Moses, the shepherd, he was distraught, crying bitterly. He walked away from there, forgetting his staff and his blanket, and begging God for forgiveness. So, in the meantime, a thundering voice came from above. And it said, "O Moses, it is not the shepherd that has committed the sin. In fact, it is you who has offended me by hurting the pure devotional feelings of my dear devotee. Go to him and beg him for forgiveness." Beg him for forgiveness. So this kind of innocence we have to bring within us. Going to a temple or any other place of worship and speaking and uttering fancy words, whether it's in Latin or in Sanskrit or in Hindi, is not going to earn us anything. No. That's not going to work. Because the kingdom of God is not in words, nor can we do anything. Can we fool God with our words? Absolutely not. So we have to concern ourselves with shedding tears and speaking from our heart. Imbibe the innocence of the shepherd, and in due course, the Lord, Sri Krishna, will hear. He will respond to our tears. He will respond. Sri Maharaji tells us that just as in the world, we as individuals, we have weaknesses. We all do. We have our own weaknesses, cravings. And so in the world, if someone wants to gain anything or extract anything that they desire from any individual, and if they know what their weakness is, then what do they do to extract it? They butter them up. That's what they do. So Sri Maharaji tells us, in the same way, Sri Krishna also has a weakness. What is his weakness? His weakness is the selfless tears of his devotees. He cannot bear to see the loving tears of his devotees. And as soon as he sees those tears, he runs to that devotee. It is his weakness. So, with tears, we can enslave him. And Sri Maharaji has emphasized this practice, which is the quintessence of all the knowledge within all the scriptures put together, the quintessence of all the knowledge within Sanatan Dharma is this alone, shedding tears alone. And Sri Maharaji has revealed this essence in the form of his divine kirtans. Navajata Shishu Sama Govinda Radhe Bhola Bani Rona Tohi Hari Te Milade. Navajat Shishu Sama, just like a newborn child, when it's hungry, thirsty, in pain, what does it do? It simply cries. And when it cries, then the mother comes to fulfill the need of that child. Sumiran Karle mana Chin chin Radha Ramana De de asu mulya mana Le le piya prema dhana. De de asu. Just by offering a few tears, what do we get? How does Sri Krishna reciprocate our tears? By bestowing his eternal wealth. That divine love he bestows upon the soul. Are we capable of reciprocating his love? No. Why? Because everything we have is simply material. And yet, he is so extremely merciful and kind and gracious that just a few tears is all we have to offer. And it's not for him, by the way, it's for us, for our own spiritual benefit. Pukaro roke Govind Radhe Bhajat ai hai gal bahiyade. Pukaro roke Govind Radhe. So with tears, if we call out to them, "Oh Govind Radhe," they will come running to us. They will come running. Bas Krishna hi Krishna pukara karu, निज आंसुवन सो मुख धोता रहूं, ब्रजराज तुम्हारे वियोग में यूं, दिन रात सदा मैं रोता रहूं. In the words of the Rasic saints of Braj, O Shri Krishna, longing and yearning for you, I aspire for one thing: shed tears of love and chant day and night your divine name. That is what I desire. So tears are so loving to Shri Krishna. Shri Maharaji tells us that when we shed one tear for Shri Krishna, he sheds 1,000 tears for us. Shri Maharaji says, if only I just wish that you could trust these words of mine, that when we shed only one tear, he sheds 1,000 tears for us souls, insignificant, undeserving, unworthy, fallen, downtrodden, and yet he sheds tears for us. Yes. That is mercy. That is grace. That is grace. Shri Maharaji says, what does it cost us? What does it cost us? It is not rocket science. It is not an arduous practice that we have to employ. There's no hard work involved. There's no japa involved. No. Shri Maharaji says tears are so loving to Shri Krishna, and we have ample tears. So why don't you shed tears for him? Why not? So Shri Maharaji, in this way, what does he do? He is urging us, inspiring us, pleading us, the soul. When anyone remembers Shri Krishna remembers them with tears. There once was a man who used to go to a nearby temple for the first darshan of the day before starting his routine activities. It was his practice for years. However, one fine day, when this man, as he approached the temple, he saw that the doors were closed to the temple. So, devastated and distraught, he wondered what the reason might have been. He wondered. So his heart overcome with sorrow and grief, he took a seat somewhere nearby, and tears began to stream from his eyes, and a storm of deep yearning struck within. It struck within. And he said, "Oh, my Banke Bihari, oh Giridhar, why are you hiding on my turn?" So with those pouring tears and heartfelt agony, he was lurched into a state of sheer desperation. And his entire body was burning in the fire of longing. In the fire of longing. Just then, this man heard a voice. And what he heard was, "Oh, hey, you crackpot, where are you? What's taking you so long?" So this man, he started looking around and wondering where that voice came from. And he couldn't see anyone around, but he could hear. So feeling restless, this man, he fell unconscious. He fell unconscious. And he laid there for quite some time. And after a long while, he felt a jet of water touching his feet. And when he felt the water, he became conscious. And he wondered where. He thought, where could this water have come from? So, in that state of longing and impatient longing that he was experiencing, he set about to find the source of that water. And he saw that that water was coming from the temple. It was coming from the temple. And what happened? He heard the voice again, the same voice. "Hey, you crackpot, where are you? What's taking you so long?" Now this time, he was very curious and he began to speculate. He thought, what is this? I can't see anyone around. I can't see anybody close by. And yet this voice, what is this voice? So in that state that he was in, he began to wail and mournfully cry. He started crying. And he fell to the ground and fainted. In that state, he received the darshan of Shri Krishna. In that state. So he became ecstatic. That enchanting, gloriously beautiful darshan he had. And his face, it exhibited this incredible glow. In the meantime, the conch, the sound of the conch resounded from the temple because Aarti was about to begin in the temple. So the people that were coming for the Aarti in the temple, they woke him up. So he woke up, and as soon as he stepped into the temple, this man, he was amazed. He was speechless. Why? Because the darshan that he was having in the mandir was exactly the darshan he had in that state when he was unconscious on the ground. He had the exact same darshan. And when his eyes met the eyes of Thakurji, Sri Krishna, he penetrated even further into that state of curious infatuation. He penetrated even further, and it dawned on him that those tears, or that water rather, that touched his feet actually were Sri Krishna's tears. They were his tears. And he thought, what did I do? I inflicted pain on Sri Krishna. He had to cry for me. And he started crying profusely and begging for forgiveness. In any case, when he was given the darshan, Shri Krishna smilingly said to him, "Hey, you crackpot, you took too long to come to me. Don't ever delay coming to me." So, that treasure, that eternal treasure that we have eternally sought, what is the secret to that? How can we achieve it? Well, you got the answer. Tears. But, with that said, if we do not experience tears, then we should not despair. Why? Because the journey to tears begins with knowledge. It begins with knowledge. There was a man in the satsang of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Ji. He could not experience tears. And it was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Ji's agya. It was his instruction to all his devotees that during chanting, during sadhana, that shedding tears is most desirable for heart purification. So then, this devotee, he took it to heart. He really took that instruction to heart. And because he couldn't get tears, he devised a plan. So what he did was, he took a piece of cloth and put chili powder, red chili powder on that piece of cloth, and made a little potli, a little bundle. And he sat in the satsang, and when the sadhana kirtan was going on, he would touch that to his eyes. And because when his eyes burned, then the tears came in his eyes. So someone saw that he was doing that and reported him to Mahaprabhuji. So Mahaprabhuji called him and asked him, "So what do you do?" And he told Mahaprabhuji that it is your instruction, and my heart is so wicked and fallen that even though I try, I do not get tears. So Mahaprabhuji looked at the other devotee who reported him to Mahaprabhuji, and Mahaprabhuji said, "Isne to tattva ko samajh liya." This man, he understands the importance of my instructions. He realizes the importance of shedding tears. So knowledge is most important. We should think, why? What is the importance of shedding tears? And why am I not shedding tears? What is the reason? And always beg for those blessings from our Guru, from Shri Krishna. Beg. रोने का रोग दे दे गोविंद राधे, दिव्य प्रेम पाने की लालसा बढ़ा दे. रोने का रोग दे दे. Oh Shri Krishna, give me that hankering. I want that yearning. Give me that sickness, rog, sickness, that illness of crying tears, oh Shri Krishna, Divya Prema Pane ki lalasa, give me that. Please feed my yearning to receive your divine love, your divine bliss. Oh, Dina kab ai hai, aho hari, gavat guna Gopal nirantar, gavat guna Gopal nirantar, Drigana Ashru बरसई है अहो वह दिन कब आए गोविंद राधे जब हरि नाम लेके आंसू बहा दे। वह दिन कब आए गोविंद राधे जब हरि नाम लेके आंसू बहा दे। In his Ashtapadi, Sri Mahaprabhu Ji has revealed Nayanam Galada Shudharya Vadanam Gadgad Ruddhaya Gira Pulakair Nichitam Vapuh Kada Tavanam Grahane Bhavishyati. So, Mahaprabhuji describes how the divine names and the virtues and the attributes of Sri Krishna should be chanted. Nayanam Galada Shudharya. Oh Sri Krishna, I'm longing for that day when tears will flow from my eyes while remembering your divine name. And my voice will become choked with love for you. My heart will melt. And my body will be thrilled. I'll feel that thrill while chanting your divine name. This is what Mahaprabhuji has described. To conclude, I just want to say that Sri Maharaji has bestowed numerous devotional treasures upon us, and he continues to bestow them upon us because that is his very nature, grace. That is Sri Maharaj's very nature. He is the ocean of grace, the embodiment of grace, synonymous with grace. Grace in form is Sri Maharaji. But what we do with those treasures, those gifts, those blessings is entirely in our hands. It is entirely in our hands. We individually make that choice. Sri Maharaji is not going to make that choice for us. Sri Krishna is not going to make that choice for us. We have to make that choice alone. So we can either take everything that we are being given and the infinite grace that is showering upon us, we can take it casually. We can be nonchalant about it. We can be negligent, or we can appreciate from our heart. We can appreciate that grace from within our heart and make the most of this opportunity we have in this life. Make the most of this opportunity that we have. It is entirely in our hands. We can resolve to dedicate, we can resolve to commit single-mindedly, become single-minded, diligent, judicious. It is entirely in our hands. And I know that all of us have this one goal. We want that. We want that single-mindedness, which is exactly why we're here. Sri Maharaji tells us that the attribute or the virtue of an aspiring devotee should be that they don't deviate from sadhana. That should be the virtue, the attribute of an aspiring devotee. So devotion, sadhana, is not limited to what we practice in the sadhana hall right here. It extends beyond the sadhana. It should reflect in anything and everything that we do. That should be our identity. We identify ourselves with Sri Maharaji's teachings, Sri Maharaji's satsang, Sri Maharaji's grace, Sri Maharaji's blessings. That should be our true and only identity. That is who we are. And that is what we represent. So whether we're doing seva or having our meal or doing anything for that matter, we should be ruminating on those divine teachings, everything that we hear from Sri Maharaji's lectures. We ruminate on those. We think about them and resolve every day, every moment to not deviate. To not deviate. And this is preparatory devotion. What we're doing is preparing ourselves. Preparing so that when our end comes, then we will be in that state of consciousness, in that state of remembrance of Hari and Guru. There was a man who had a parrot as his pet. So one day, a cat pounced on the parrot and ran off with it. So this man was devastated and he started crying. So people said, "Why are you crying? We'll get you another parrot. What's the big deal?" So the man said that that's not why I'm crying. The truth is that I had trained this parrot to utter Krishna name. I had trained the parrot to utter Krishna name. And so all day long, the parrot would utter and say Krishna name, the name of Sri Krishna. However, today when it was attacked, it forgot the name of Sri Krishna and it started squawking. Teh, 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 teh. That's what it started doing. So now this dreaded anxiety is haunting me. For I also chant the name of Sri Krishna. But I wonder that when the messenger of death, when the death messenger will pounce on me, if I will remember, if I will recall the name of Sri Krishna, or I will also squawk like the parrot. I wonder. This is why Sri Maharaj Ji repeatedly and emphatically tells us again and again and again. Sri Maharaj Ji tells us to ruminate, to think again and again about the divine teachings and strengthen our Rup Dhyan, our loving remembrance of Hari and Guru, so that our heart can become overwhelmed with the remembrance of Hari and Guru and nothing else. Every moment, Radhe name should be on our tongue and remain in our heart. So that when our end comes, then leaving the name or the remembrance of Sri Krishna, we don't end up being lost in the thoughts of the world. We don't wind up like that parrot. So individually, we set that goal of devotion, sadhana. Sri Maharaj's grace is always with us. It was, it is, it will be forever. But to imbibe that grace, to cultivate the teachings and experience that grace, to grow our sadhana, that is our responsibility. And unless we help ourselves, what can Sri Maharaj Ji do? In any case, that is why we have all gathered over here. It's so beautiful that you all are here for this winter sadhana. And I humbly from my heart, I wish you all a very devotional rest of your stay here at Radha Madhav Dham. And I sincerely wish for you that when you leave Radha Madhav Dham, that you take a huge, huge, huge bundle of Sri Maharaj's divine grace back with you and keep coming here again and again to love Maharaji more and grow your sadhana, grow your bhakti by coming to Radha Madhav Dham. So this concludes my 4-part series of lectures on the explanation of this divine pad. I hope I have been able to share some of course, it's all with Sri Maharaj's grace. But if unknowingly, unconsciously, if I have said anything, offended you, or in any way, please, please, please forgive me, pardon me, and just remember Sri Maharaj's grace. So with these words, I will conclude my talk right here. Shrimat Sadguru Sarkar ki, Shrimat Yugal Sarkar ki, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe.